Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to Timeless Romance Tales. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more dark aristocratic romance, dangerous proximity, and stories where one night changes everything. Now let's begin. Midnight fell without ceremony. No bells rang. No servants announced the hour. The only warning was the sound of iron grinding against iron. Elena Moreau froze at the far end of the east gallery, one hand braced against a marble column as the echo rolled through the estate. The gates. They were being sealed. She turned sharply, skirts whispering against the stone floor, pulse thudding hard enough to make her lightheaded. That was impossible. She had been told the estate would remain open until dawn. She had been told guests were free to come and go. She had been told. The second gate slammed shut. Final. Absolute. Elena swallowed. She was still inside Blackthorn Estate, and she did not belong here. Earlier that evening, everything had been simple. She had arrived as part of a small delegation delivering ledgers from the southern provinces, temporary, unimportant work meant to keep her fed and unnoticed. She was not a lady of rank, not noble, not someone the Duke of Blackthorn would ever look twice at. She was meant to deliver the documents, wait near the servants' wing, and leave before nightfall. But the estate was vast, labyrinthine, built not to welcome but to disorient, and Elena had taken one wrong turn. Now the corridors were dim, the walls stretching long and quiet, the silence pressing in on her ears until she became painfully aware of her own breathing. She hurried toward the nearest archway. Too late. Footsteps sounded behind her. Measured. Unhurried. Not a servant. She knew that instinctively. She turned. The Duke of Blackthorn stood at the far end of the corridor, tall and immovable, dressed in dark evening clothes that made him look less like a host and more like the estate itself. Unyielding, severe, impossible to ignore. Lucien Blackthorn did not raise his voice. He didn't need to. "You're still here," he said. It was not a question. Elena dipped into a hurried curtsy, heart racing. "My lord, there's been a mistake. I was trying to leave." His gaze moved over her with unnerving precision. Not possessive. Not dismissive. Assessing. "The gates are sealed," he said calmly. "I heard," she replied, voice tighter than she intended. "I wasn't informed they would close so early." "They weren't meant to," Lucien said. That was worse. A mistake then. One that now stood between them. "You shouldn't be in this wing," he added. "I know," she said quickly. "If you'll permit me, I'll wait near the servants' entrance until morning." Lucien studied her for a long moment. The silence stretched. "No," he said. The word landed heavier than a command. "No," she echoed before she could stop herself. "You won't be wandering the estate alone," he continued. "And I won't reopen the gates." Her breath caught. "My lord, with respect. The grounds are locked for security," he said. "Once sealed, they remain sealed." Elena's fingers curled into her skirt. "Then where am I to go?" Lucien's eyes flicked briefly toward the shadowed corridor behind her. "You'll stay," he said. "Until morning." The guest chamber he assigned her was not small. That unsettled her more than if it had been. High ceilings. Thick drapes. A fire already burning, as though the room had been waiting for her specifically. "You may rest here," Lucien said, standing just inside the doorway. "A servant will bring food." She nodded, unsure whether to thank him or apologize. "And my lord?" she asked softly. "Yes." "I truly didn't intend to intrude." Something in his expression shifted, so quickly she almost missed it. "I know," he said. "That doesn't change the outcome." The door closed behind him. Not locked. That was somehow worse. Sleep refused to come. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the low crackle of the fire, replaying every second of the encounter in her mind. The Duke of Blackthorn was known for many things: control, isolation, a temper kept on a short leash. He had inherited the estate young, dismissed half his household, and turned Blackthorn into a fortress that rarely welcomed guests overnight. And now she was alone inside it. With him. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. She stood quickly. "Yes." The door opened. Lucien entered, not in his formal coat this time. but in a loosened shirt, sleeves rolled back, dark hair no longer perfectly arranged. He looked human. It unsettled her far more than his authority had. "I wanted to be certain you were settled," he said. "Yes," she replied, forcing steadiness. "Thank you." His gaze lingered on her face. "You're not afraid," he observed. "I am," she admitted. "But not of you." That earned her a faint pause. "Then what?" "Of being forgotten here," she said honestly. "Of becoming a mistake no one bothers to correct." Lucien's jaw tightened. "You won't be," he said. She believed him. That realization startled her. They spoke more that night than she expected. Not formally. Not with distance. He asked where she came from. Why she took work beneath her education. Why she hadn't married. She asked why he sealed the estate so tightly. Why he avoided guests. Why he walked the corridors alone. Neither offered full answers. But something fragile and electric settled between them. Proximity. Unavoidable awareness. At one point she laughed, quiet, surprised by the sound of it. Lucien looked at her as though he'd never heard laughter in his walls before. "You don't belong in the margins," he said suddenly. She blinked. "I beg your pardon?" "You make yourself small," he continued. "It's a habit, not a truth." Her throat tightened. "No one has ever accused me of being noticed." "I notice," he said. The words were not flirtation. They were declaration. The storm arrived after midnight. Rain lashed the windows, wind howling through the grounds like a warning. The estate creaked, alive and watchful. Elena found Lucien again in the gallery, standing at one of the tall windows. "You can't sleep either," she said. "No. Is that why you sealed the estate?" she asked carefully. "To keep the world out?" He didn't answer immediately. "Sometimes," he said at last, "isolation is the only way to breathe." She stood beside him, close enough to feel the heat of his body without touching. "And tonight?" she asked. "Tonight," he said quietly. "It kept you here." The air shifted. Not danger. Choice. She turned to face him. "Do you regret that?" Lucien met her gaze. "No," he said. "Do you?" Her pulse raced. "No," she whispered. When dawn finally came, it arrived gently. Soft light spilled across stone floors, the storm spent, the world returned. The gates would open soon. They both knew it. Lucien walked her to the entrance himself. "You're free to leave," he said. She hesitated. "And if I don't?" she asked. Something like restraint tightened his expression. "Then I would have to ask you to stay," he said. "And I don't ask lightly." Elena stepped closer. "Then don't ask," she said. "Invite." He searched her face, really searched it. "Stay," he said. Not command. Not demand. Invitation. She nodded. The gates opened an hour later. Elena did not walk through them. And Blackthorn Estate, once sealed against the world, would never quite feel closed again. Because one night, when midnight fell and the doors were barred, the Duke discovered that some intrusions were not mistakes. They were beginnings. The days that followed did not resemble captivity, nor did they resemble freedom. Elena discovered this slowly, in the subtle recalibration of her mornings, in the way servants addressed her, not as staff, not as nobility, but with a cautious respect that suggested the Duke himself had given quiet instruction, in the way doors opened for her without question, yet never quite without awareness. She was not confined, but she was undeniably placed. Blackthorn Estate unfolded itself to her in measured fragments. The west gardens at dawn, when mist still clung to the hedges. The long gallery where Lucien walked late at night, hands clasped behind his back, thoughts clearly heavier than the stone beneath his feet. The library, vast, dustless, meticulously ordered, where he found her one afternoon reading by the fire. "You've made yourself comfortable," he observed. She glanced up. "You didn't forbid it." "No," he agreed. "I didn't." That was becoming a pattern. They learned one another in quiet ways. Lucien took his meals alone, but he never objected when Elena joined him. Conversation came easily now, never rushed, never trivial. She spoke of ledgers, of trade routes, of the small humiliations of being useful but unacknowledged. He spoke of governance, of burden, of the kind of responsibility that left no room for error or weakness. "You carry this place like armor," she said once. "And you carry absence like practice," he replied. She felt that one land. The closeness between them did not escalate in grand gestures. It sharpened. Every passing in the corridor felt deliberate. Every shared silence carried weight. There were moments, fleeting, dangerous, when Elena was acutely aware of how easily a line could be crossed, and how carefully Lucian avoided crossing it. Until the night the storm returned. It came suddenly, violent and unannounced, rattling windows and plunging parts of the estate into darkness. Elena was halfway down the east stairwell when the lights failed completely, leaving her breathless in the dark. "Elena!" Lucian's voice cut through the black. She exhaled in relief. "I'm here." He reached her in seconds, his hand closing around her wrist, not gripping, not pulling. "Grounding. Don't move," he said. "I wasn't planning to." They stood there, close enough that she could feel the tension coiled beneath his calm. The storm roared outside, isolating the estate once more. The world reduced to thunder and shadow. "This is how it happens," she said quietly. "How what happens? How people mistake proximity for permission." Lucian's thumb shifted slightly against her skin. "I haven't mistaken anything," he said. "No," she agreed. "You've been choosing restraint. Because choice matters," he replied. The silence stretched, thick and electric. "And yours?" he asked. "What have you been choosing?" Elena lifted her chin, heart racing. "To stay," she said. "Even when the gates are open." His breath slowed. "Then I need to ask you something," Lucian said. She waited. "Not as a duke," he continued, "but as a man who sealed his life shut long before you arrived." Her pulse hammered. "Stay," he said again. "Not because you were locked in. Not because it's safer here. But because you want to be." She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped closer, closing the space he had so carefully preserved. "I already am," she said. The storm did not quiet. Neither did the tension between them. But when Lucian finally touched her, really touched her, it was not hunger that guided him. It was reverence. Hands at her waist, steady and warm. Forehead resting briefly against hers, as though grounding himself before proceeding. "This changes things," he murmured. "Yes," she agreed. "That's why it matters." Their first kiss was slow, measured, not claiming, choosing. And when they pulled apart, neither pretended it was temporary. The estate did not open its gates the next morning. Lucian ordered them kept sealed. Not for security, for privacy. Word would spread eventually. It always did. That the Duke of Blackthorn had altered his routines. That a woman now walked freely at his side. That isolation had not defeated him, but transformed him. Elena did not ask what she was becoming. She felt it in the way Lucian looked at her. Not as an intrusion, not as a secret, but as a presence that had earned its place. One night, standing together at the same window where he once watched the world from afar, she said softly, "You don't hide as much anymore." He glanced at her. "Neither do you." Outside, the gates remained closed. Inside, something unmistakable had opened. And Elena understood at last that the most dangerous nights were not the ones where escape was impossible, but the ones where staying became a choice you never wanted to undo.